Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 19, season 2 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. And I'm recording this today as of Monday, the 16th of December. I so was intending to do this at the start of the month, and for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. I'm going to do what I often do, blame the astrology. Did you know that it's been Mercury in retrograde up until today? It's stationed direct today. So energetically, I felt compelled to record the podcast today. Anyway, here is December's episode. And before I dive into December's episode, there's a couple of things I'd like to say. The first thing, as we draw to the end of the year, I want to say a huge thank you to you all, my long-standing established listeners who have been tuning in since we started this journey together back in June 2022. And then to my new podcast listeners, which I'm picking up all the time, which completely lights me up. I want to say a massive thank you to you all, and an even bigger thank you to the lovely support and understanding that I've had following my decision to drop the weekly podcast schedule down to a monthly one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's a reminder, guys, to you all of the power of long form content versus short form. I know I've done a podcast episode on this, but just hear me out a moment. I know how it can seem all consuming social media, short form content, not just short form video content or social media, short form content. It's a thing that we can put our efforts, our intentions into, and quite rightly so. They are wonderful business assets. Free business assets other than your time and energy. So very important, your time and energy. But the average shelf life of any one post on social media is about 12 hours. And at any one time, 2 to 5% of your audience are going to see it. That's why on social media, you have to be pretty frequent, pretty consistent, pretty repetitive in your messaging to really get it out there. When we turn to longer form content, which, to be honest, isn't as much fun and isn't as sexy, I'm going to say blogging, SEO, search engine optimization. Please, this is not what today's podcast episode is about. Stay with me, but hear me out. Vlogging, podcasting, whatever form. You don't have to start a podcast. I mean, I'm not starting a blog. I don't write brilliantly, but I can talk for Britain, as you know. So hence why I started a podcast. These longer form content have a longer shelf life. They pick up momentum days, weeks, years after the initial effort that you put into it. So please, what I'm trying to say is, don't put all your eggs into one basket of social media. Do consider into the mix of your content, so you can your marketing content, ways people can get to meet you, see you, hear you, get to know you, see what you're about, see if you're an energetic match. And then please consider longer form content. If you're just putting all your eggs into social media, it's going to be exhausting. And the podcast has reminded me of this, because I did feel like when I made that decision, and it was the right decision, to drop down to once a month, there was this part of me that was like really, really scared. Like, I'm going to be losing that weekly content. I'm going to be losing listeners. And actually, the amount of listeners to each episode have grown and continues to grow. I also put this podcast on YouTube, and I don't push it at all, but I'm just allowing that to grow. And again, the amount of views, the amount of subscribers on my YouTube channel, they continue to grow as well. Sometimes we need to invest in the longer game stuff and be patient. That is a message to myself. If it helps you to, please take it. The other thing I want to chat to you about before I dive into today's topic of your guidance word for 2025 is on the topic of 2025. If you have been, in my world, or you've just come across me, it doesn't really matter, but you're like, Amy, I really love your vibe. Amy, whatever it is you've got, I want it. I really need to hang out with you more closely. I really need to work with you one-to-one. This is particularly if you are a female, service-based entrepreneur, female founder, and you really want a business mentor who who's walking the walk as well as talking the talk, right? I've done this for 15 plus years. I have 2 successful businesses. I have a long track record of successful courses, programs, and very happy and very successful one-to-one clients. Like, I am a trusted business mentor. And if you feel energetically that you like my vibe and you're like, 2025, I want to step into my purpose. I want to do what it is that I came here to do. I am tired of feeling like I'm missing out all the time and somehow not good enough. What's wrong with me? Why is this all happening for other people? Why is this so hard? I have this strong calling, this strong hollering in my heart to do X, whatever it is. Then this is my invitation to join my Your Purpose Mastermind. It is the only way you can work with me one-to-one. I do work one-to-one with people just as individuals, and I love it. But I also, if you jump back to last month's episode, my story of being part of a mastermind, I also know the power of a small group of women all working together with the same collective endeavor. So my Your Purpose Mastermind is 5 months. You get my one-to-one support for 5 months. That is WhatsApp access to me, ask away, my darling, monthly one-to-one calls. But we also have hot seat monthly coaching, mastermind training session once a month, two in-person meetups, of course, down here in sunny Cornwall. And the first one is at the Headland Hotel in Newquay, and we're wrapping up the day by going for a dip in the Aqua Spa. Yes, you can order a drink while you sit in the jacuzzi, the hot tub. And then I'm also bringing in my human design coach, Finny, to work with me, because for me to really help you step into your purpose, I'll get to know you really well. I'll get to know where you are in your business really well. I'll, of course, use that magic skill that I've got to tap into my intuition, my inner guidance, what the universe is asking you to do, fused with all my years of experience. Yes, all of that is an absolute given. But Finny is also coming in to do an in-person. So he's joining us at the Headland, not in the Aqua Spa, bless him. I don't think he can cope with that. But he is joining us in person to come and run a session on human design and your carnation cross. Your carnation cross in human design is the imprint of your purpose, what it is you literally came into this physical form to do. You will also meet with Finny for a 90-minute one-to-one human design reading specifically on your carnation cross. He will share that information with me as well, and I will be using that to guide us through our 5 months together. It is going to be transformative. I'm so bloody excited about it. As are you, because there are only 4 places left. So if you catch this podcast episode before the 17th of January 2025 and there happens to be a place left and you're like, yeah, Amy, I'm in, click on the link or get in touch. I would love you to be part of this program. It feels like this is me stepping into my purpose. This is what I came here to do. So goal setting, calling in your word. Why do I do this? How do I do this? And my invitation for you to do it too. Okay, so you may or may not be aware that I have a background in education. I spent the first 12 years of my life as a secondary school music teacher, teaching teenagers to do music. I'm laughing now. I tell you what, unless you are a music teacher, unless you've taught year 9 music, unless you try to persuade 13, 14-year-old boys and girls to sing as a class, right? You have no idea. No, I loved my job actually as a school teacher. I loved in particular working with teenagers. It's still to this day, although I don't have a desire to go back into education, my husband is still in it. I to this day miss the connection with those young adults, those children, and working with teenagers. So I just want to say that I had done the job for 12 years. And when I had my son, I was ready for something else, and I wanted a way of working which allowed me to stay at home and breastfeed my son for however long that took. 3 years. Now that wasn't planned. That's a story for another day. And do those school runs and work in a way which worked for motherhood. So hence how I ended up full-time service-based entrepreneur, making my full-time living around other commitments that I have as a woman. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. But I spent 12 years in education. Now, as part of that, I taught GCSE and A-level music, and we were very, very data and goal driven. Every year, I had to set aspirational goals for these children, for these young adults. And the aspirational goal was always one grade higher than what they were realistically going to get. And I found it really hard. I used to be like, why can't the goal be the goal that the data says, what I know they are going to get, what is realistically achievable for them, or rather than setting this aspirational goal, which the vast majority of them don't get, and then you feel like you're failing, right? It's such a difficult situation, because the aspirational goal in some cases actually was achievable. If that child was unable, for a variety of reasons, and we saw this in COVID, to sit their exams, and predicted grades were important, and you didn't ever want to predict them unfairly too low, and you can never know how a child is really going to perform in an exam, so it's a very difficult thing to navigate. But I got goal setting PTSD, shall we say. And I have found previously in my business, if I set myself like, I'm going to earn X, I'm going to get X amount of people to do this, I'm going to make this, that was blocking me. It never worked out for me. And I was like, my definition of madness is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So there's a topic for another day. So what I do now is, let's say I like your Purpose Mastermind is a great example. I have got 3 targets. 1, enough people in it to make it run. It's the first time I'm doing it. It's going to happen. Tick, I've achieved that goal already. Woo! Then I have a good and an even better goal. What are the numbers next that I'm going to work towards and make those steps? So I have stages, so it doesn't feel like I can never fail. And then if I hadn't got enough people to make the mastermind happen, well, I've already booked the day in the Headlands. So I then said to myself, well, look, if that day booked in the Headland Hotel in Newquay in February is not going to be for my mastermind, it's going to be for something else. I had trained myself damn hard in the this or something else, this or something better mentality. By basically brainwashing myself and saying it repeatedly. So I've learned to set what's the minimum, what would be good, what would be amazing, those type of goals, rather than like a one set aspirational target that I was never meeting and always telling myself I was failing. And then I was like, this is exactly what I used to do to those poor teenage children. But we do need to have some direction. We do need to use the data that we do have and let the data lead. But it's not just about the data. I'm all about let the energy lead, and then what does the data tell you? That's my order. What do I feel about this? What's the energy behind this? Okay. And what does the data say? But that's really important, actually, guys, because it might be like, I absolutely love this. I want to do more of this. I want to make it happen, right? But the data says you're not making any money from this yet. Okay, yet. Or it might be, my God, this is just energetically draining. Why am I continuing to do this, do it this way, say yes to this stuff? The data says I'm making some money, this is profitable, but I don't want to do it. So that's not sustainable. So this is why we have to lead with the energy, then look what the data says, and then decide our next steps. So if I'm like, I'm absolutely loving this, this is what I want to do. The data says, I'm not really making any money from this yet. How can I change that because I want to do this? What are those steps? What are those actionable steps that I need to take? What is the strategy I need to take in order to make this thing that I love profitable? Okay. So this that aside, that's how I work with energy and goals, sort of like on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, quarterly basis. So I don't quite work in quarters. That's a topic for another day. I've got school-aged children, school holidays. I work around that. And then that yearly basis. But the year is a big period of time, 12 months. And I don't know about you, but if I do have plans for 2025 in terms of what I'd like to do when, a lot more in the first half of the year than the second half of the year, because I find I was trying to do that this time last week. I was trying to think, right, okay, I've got the first half of 2025, relatively mapped out on the this or something else, this or something better grounds. What's happening in the second half of the year? And I was trying to figure it out and trying to think of this here and this there. And I was like, this is making me feel really anxious. Why? Because it feels a long way off. So I have some post-it notes with some ideas on them, and I put them by. I've got this big wall planner, and they're by possible months that these things may happen. But a post-it note is movable, and a post-it note can go in the bin, and that made me feel a lot better. But what is that one energetic intention that I have to guide all my actions, all my decisions through 2025? And this is where your word comes in, your guidance word. Okay, it's the thing you come to when an opportunity comes your way, or when you're trying to make a decision about, am I going to run this thing? What am I going to charge for this thing? Does this fit with my word? Okay, now here's the big reveal. If you've been on my rest and reset masterclass last week, I know you know this already, but if you haven't, I've been promising you guys, like I'm sure you've been like waiting for this podcast episode to drop. So Amy can tell you her 2024 word. I don't make my word public. I hold it in my heart. I tell a couple of important people in my life. So this year it was Lucy Sheridan, the business coach that I worked with on her New Era Mastermind. She was one of them, and the other ladies on the course knew my word, and that was kind of it. I told my husband, but I'm not sure he really registered with him. But I told him anyway, because he is an important person in my life. My word, like a drum roll, please. My word for 2024 was quantum. And it has been nothing short of wild. So I was at the end of 2023, and I'm there, calling in, and I'll talk a little bit about how I call in the word. But I am sharing my calling in your word, sort of like meditation process much more deeply to my page users on Substack, which again, I'm going to invite you to be one of those guys. If you're missing me in your earbuds every week, is £4.40 a month. I'm not asking a lot. But anyway, I'll mention at the end. But I was at the end of 2023, and my yoga business was doing really well. And I was enjoying it. But oh my God, the hollering of my heart was roaring at, Amy, you're meant for more. That's what, not that, I'm too good for yoga teacher training or anything like that. That I had my yoga business and I loved it, but I felt I was meant for more. My mission was bigger than just supporting yoga teachers, that I had all this skill set, all this knowledge, and this ability to help women do what lights them up and make money. I'd had amazing results with female yoga teachers. The podcast was growing in a wider audience other than just yoga teachers. I had people who weren't yoga teachers asking me, Amy, do you do anything else? Do you just support yoga teachers? And I was doing this thing where I'd be like, stuttering, yes, but not yet. Yes, something's coming, okay? And I had been like that for about 12 months. It was getting painful. That's the best word. And I was like, I want a big change. So I did that thing. So how I call in my word is I start to, it's all energy. I feel into where I am. I feel into the contrast. What's frustrating me? What is it that I want? What is in the hollering of the heart? And then I just start to listen, and it might just be in meditation, getting quiet. It might be just going about my everyday life, heading into the shower, talking to the shower gods, heading in and out of the sea, having a surf, just those moments, where you catch a moment of getting quiet as you're drifting off to sleep, as you're waking up in the morning. You'll all know where your moment is, where you connect to your intuition, your higher self, your inner voice, because your higher self, the universe already knows where you're going next year, where she wants you to go next year, where she knows you can go next year. Your higher self already knows. You just got to connect to it. So I was getting quiet, I was doing those things, and then quantum kept coming through. I'm getting goosebumps. She's like, you tell everyone this, Amy. I am talking to the universe there. So, and it came through and I was like, no, you know, the whole idea of like, I don't know whether I've been reading into it or looking into it, but quantum jumping, like taking a massive leap in your present reality, having a big identity shift, a big change, doing things differently. And actually I was like, you know what? Yeah, I want a quantum jump. I want to have a new business. Yeah. I want to be known not just as Amy Yoga. I want to be known as a business mentor. I want to be in the mix of people's favorites business mentors. I want to be known for more than just my role as a yoga teacher trainer, and mentor to business teachers. I want to quantum jump that. I don't know. What I hadn't anticipated was, you know, business and life are not separate. We separate them, but they are not separate. They are interconnected. What I hadn't intended was for this word quantum to ripple into virtually all areas of my life. And I just want to say, just be careful what you wish for. This year in 2024, to summarize, I said yes to a 10 grand mastermind. I've never invested 10 grand. I'm passionate about working with business coaches and working in, you know, group programs and one-to-one with people. I hadn't spent 10 grand before. Let me let you know that for sure. And I have some of the money, but not all the money. I'm going to say, just be honest with you guys, I hadn't left Cornwall since COVID without my family in tow. So all travels outside of the beautiful county of Cornwall had involved my children for 4 years, involved my family for 4 years. I just hadn't driven on the motorway without my kids. I hadn't got on a train, got on a plane without my kids. I never got on a plane without my kids. And pre-COVID, in 2018, 2019, I've been doing training with Gary Carter in Bath. You know, I've been happily getting on a train, been happily driving on the motorway. You know, we all probably can identify with this, like COVID just completely shrunk everything. And I was like, God, I'm not very good at leaving Cornwall. I mean, Cornwall's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to leave it very often. But I actually am not leaving it, and I'm certainly not leaving it without my family. So this year, most of it due to saying yes to that mastermind with Lucy Sheridan, I drove to Birmingham in January. I got on a train to Edinburgh. Now, listen, guys, you're like, yeah, whatever, Amy. Driving to Birmingham. We all drive to Birmingham. Like, I just want you to know, like in Cornwall, we don't have motorways. Just we don't. I'm happy to go down a single track road, reverse if there's a tractor. Like, listen, I'm cool with that. I'm really cool with that. I'm not used to anymore. And I used to drive on the motorway to work, free living in Cornwall, no problem. I'm not used to going on the motorway, slip roads, driving at 70 miles an hour. Felt like an experience, guys. I hadn't been to Gloucester services by myself. So, and then train, look, listen, if you know Cornwall at all, it just ain't easy to really get anywhere. The train journey, which at that time of year, April, just in terms of flights and everything else, the train was the most direct, easiest way to get to Edinburgh. It's a 10-hour train journey. I have nailed traveling on a train, can I say. So I've been driven to Birmingham, been on a train to Edinburgh, not once, but twice, because we had our retreat day as part of the mastermind back in April. I have made a special group of new friends as part of this mastermind, and we met back at the end of this year, November. So there's 2 trips on the train to Edinburgh, staying at the beautiful Virgin Hotel. I can't really remember it all. Got on a train to London. That didn't seem too scary. By now, this was in end of May, early June, and I'm like, I'm professional at going on a train. Plus I had grown up in London, and like when I got to the tube, I was like, I know how to do this. It's not an alien experience. I've been to the Peak District at Whaley Bridge, where Lucy lives. That was the hardest place to get to via train from Cornwall. So that was part of the mastermind. Like I say, as part of that mastermind experience, I've met a group of women who I just, in everyday life, just normal circumstances, going about my everyday life, work, family, whatever, surfing in Cornwall. I just wouldn't have met these group of people. And we were always destined to meet each other. We were always destined to meet each other. We feel like perhaps we are previous lives a coven of witches and we made a pact to come back together. I'm getting goosebumps. It really just feels like that. We can't explain it. We are different ages, different backgrounds, different life experiences, different businesses. I cannot express to you how different we all are, but how we connect and support each other. That for me has been the biggest quantum jump. Well, one of the biggest, there's one bigger one, biggest quantum jump for 2025. Other things I did, I flew on a plane to run my first international training in Switzerland. Amazing experience. I swam in Lake Geneva. Beautiful, mind-blowingly wonderful experience. And I had never been on a plane by myself in my life ever. And again, for those of you that are seasoned travelers and hop on a plane, look, I'm a bit anxious about flying, I won't lie. My mum is, I will fly, not great. And I'm certainly not great by myself. But you know what? I committed to it because it was my word. This is what your word does. The energy is quantum. Okay, it doesn't end there. I am a qualified lifeguard. Did you know in 2024, April 2024, I passed my lifeguard qualification? Now, I have been surfing for years. I am pretty confident in the water, or a very strong paddler. I'm happy to admit that. Okay at swimming and rubbish at running. I managed to swim it's 400 meters, 16 laps in under 8 minutes. I don't know how that happened. I hadn't had a lot of time to practice, and it wasn't something I could do when I first started practicing. Trust me that. And I'm not quite sure I ran, it's 200 meters in 40 seconds. I'm not quite sure I run that fast, but I think they glossed over that. Running fast is not my forte. I'd rather run a marathon than sprint, but I did it. I passed. Okay. I passed my lifeguard qualification. I cannot believe it. If you're like, how did you end up, Amy, opting to train to be a lifeguard? Well, one, I support my local life-saving club. My little girl is part of it, and I coach as part of it. And my friend runs quite a lot of it, and she said, Amy, you should do your life. This is in January, right? So I picked my word. End of 2023, 2024 quantum. Told Lucy, I'm going to say yes to your mastermind because my word for 2024 is quantum. And then my friend messaged me, like literally then the next day, Amy, you're going to say yes to your lifeguard training. I messaged back saying, look, I can surf, but I'm no lifeguard. Anyway, she went and got one of my posts off social media about, not limiting yourself and saying yes, circled it in big red and sent it back to me. I was like, aha, no, I have no choice. Yes, I will commit to lifeguard training. These things didn't stop there. Okay. I do have a new business. I have two businesses. So Amy Yoga is still very much in existence. It's my sole trader business. I'm still running yoga teacher training. I've got my foundation teacher training course coming up next year, my yin training course at the Zen Den in June next year. I have in November this year had probably my best ever training experience on all levels. I ran my full-day yin training course at Highcliffe. I had 14 people attend. It was a retreat. I was providing food. I was doing the training. We all just found it the most mind-blowing experience, retreat meet training vibe. I've also got my online courses, which still very much exist and people are taking and working their way through. Like Amy Yoga, my biggest fear was Amy Yoga would disappear, would die, and I don't want it to. I love this business. I spent years and years and years and years and years investing in it, and that hasn't been the case. But I also have my limited company, Amy Jones Mentor, that's where I wear my hat as business mentor. And in the second half of the year, things have really taken off for that business. I've had some incredible one-to-one clients. I've got amazing results. I've done in-person workshops. I launched, I had a couple of group programs. One was like a little bit of a short tester program. And then I launched my Energy, Mindset, Money and More program in the autumn. And I have 5 people say yes to that. And I won't lie, I set a higher target. But oh my God, this program was insanely good. I had 3 co-teachers with me, 3 projectors, Finny on human design, Vic on voice activation and sound healing, Helen on nervous system and breath. And what was really weird is they hadn't spoken about their sessions. They hadn't planned it together, but there was this golden thread of connection between all that we did. And the 5 people who said yes to this program were like, whoa, we are completely changed forever in a good way. That program will run again in 2025, and I'm just energetically going to be so much more behind it, because I think I was selling it and I didn't really realize what it was. Basically I was like, bloody hell, we're on to something. So that happened in the autumn. My Ideas to Action in-person workshops, coaching workshops, they sold out every time. And then I started to attract amazing one-to-one clients that were happy to pay my new higher prices, that have also got incredible results. Like I thought I got to end of October, and I thought, this quantum, I'm tired now. I'm really tired. This quantum energy can't carry on for the remainder of the year, and it just has. And the biggest quantum shift has got nothing to do with my business, although you cannot separate business and life. You will know one of the reasons, I feel a bit emotional saying this, you will know one of the reasons why I dropped down my podcast to monthly. I also have stopped my mentoring program for yoga teachers, the Prosperous Yogini mentorship program. And one of the main driving reason was I no longer want big rolling program in my business. And I need to cut back on all the free stuff I'm giving, because I need one more time to serve my paying clients. But more importantly than that, I have a little girl. She's 9, she's going to be 10 in January. She's in year 5, who year 3, year 4, and into the start of year 5 has really struggled to get to school. We had 54 days of her year 4 was late. And I want to say now, it's not because I can't get her to school on time. I can get her to school on time, but it is very hard to get a girl who's crying, who doesn't want to go to school, who it starts the night before, who refuses to get out of bed, refuses to get dressed, who is very distressed. And you're the only person dealing with this. And I know this has resonated with so many of you. You're the only person dealing with this. And this year, I feel really emotional saying this. I'm trying not to cry on my podcast, but it is true. I hit a point this year where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I literally can't do this anymore. I can't continue to, serve my business, serve myself, and serve my daughter. And at the heart of everything I do is my family. So we had a bit of and it was you cannot imagine all this stuff. It was on the launch, the day I launched, the day I opened the cart into my Energy Mindset Money More program, which has been and will be, massive to the people that go through it. She refused really badly to go to school. It was my birthday as well. And my husband has, recognized that leaving me alone to deal with this wasn't a good idea. So his school teacher, he rang and said he was going to be late. Long story short, it was that crisis point. I left the house in floods of tears. I was like, I don't know if I can launch this program. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I really don't want to educate my daughter, but I don't want her to be this unhappy at school. And there were lots of factors, guys, and COVID, I'm going to tell you, is I think the biggest one, having been in reception, when it all kicked off, also loving her mummy deeply, having a very nice home life, and just a few things at school, which I have to say, you will not believe where we are now. Okay, she's ready for school before me. She is happy to go into school. She's thriving academically. She talks about school. She optionally chooses to do the little bit of homework that's set. She's reading every night. It's not just that she's going to school, because she knows she has to go to school. She's loving school. We had a new teacher come in this year. She's a newly qualified teacher, female newly qualified teacher. And my heart sunk, because I was like, I want a bit more experience with this class. I do want a bit more experience to manage my daughter and the other issues that are going on for these kids and the impact of COVID. But I was so wrong. And I was that newly qualified teacher once that was full of energy, full of inspiration, and there to make a difference. I was that teacher once. I was 22, 23, and in the education system with those exact qualities that my daughter's new class teacher has got. I actually think she's an angel in disguise, and the universe has sent me her, or sent my daughter her, because she's changed everything for my daughter. She loves her school, she loves her teacher, and we don't have it anymore. We don't have the I don't want to go to school at all, right? That I cannot express to you that that is the biggest quantum jump of 2024, and it's for me the best one. I'm not quite there in terms of being able to say this is it now, this won't happen again, we've turned the corner, but for me the freedom in terms of additional energy to serve you guys, to to do what I came here to do, which is not just to be a mother, as much as I love that job and it's in my primary job, but I feel very, very driven to help you do what lights you up and make money. I believe for my daughter and my son and for all of us that the world will be a better place when more money is in the hands of women. As I say all the time on social media, we will not be spending our money on war, and we've hit a place, we've hit a time we've astrologically hit a time when we know it is our time to rise, and I feel very strongly that I've come here to be part of the rising up, to be part of leading the way for women to rise up. This isn't like an attack against men. I said to someone the other day, actually, the inequality in wealth and opportunity, men versus women, serves none of us. Men put themselves under huge pressure to provide, to succeed, because that's what they're told to do under the old patriarchal system, which thankfully is crumbling. We get to see that reflected back in statistics like male suicide, or which there are a whole multitude of reasons for that, but one of them is that pressure to provide and be successful. Well, I didn't expect that podcast to be that long or that emotional. So my word for 2024 is quantum. So many quantum shifts, quantum jumps have happened for me, both in my personal and my business. You can't separate the two. Yes, it's great that I've got a new business. Yes, it's great that I got on a plane to Switzerland. Yes, it's great that I'm a lifeguard. But the biggest quantum shift for me is I've got a little girl who wants to go to school. Is more than that, is enjoying school. And I just want to thank the universe for sending me this word. So here's my invitation for you, if you haven't already, to start energetically feeling into what you want for 2025, and what is your word that will guide all those decisions that you will make. All right, my darlings, I would love some of those decisions for you to be that you work with me. So of course there's my Your Purpose Mastermind, but if you're looking for a much cheaper option, then do dive into my Substack. It's £4.40 a month, £44 a week. No, hang on, £4.40 a month, £44 a year, and you'll get weekly videos, this gold dust information in your earbuds every week. If not, my darlings, have a lovely Christmas and fantastic New Year, and I'll be back in January with episode 20.